This is a handout titled Exponents, and you're going to learn a little bit about exponents from it. So let's take a look at the first set of directions. It asks us to complete this chart. So there's different forms we can end up expressing these exponents in, and we've got this word form, exponent form, the factor form, and then the product. Product just means you're going to multiply all those numbers. So let's take a look at what we've got given to us. We've got the factored form. The factored form tells us how many tens we have. Well, what exponents represent is repeated multiplication. So that's what they equal. Repeated multiplication. And so when we go ahead and talk about exponents, the neat thing about them is that we can go ahead and write a big number using a small amount of space. That's what's good about them. So for instance, here we've got 10 times 10 times 10. If I was to actually multiply those numbers out, I would get 1,000. And so it works this way with numbers that end in 0. If they end in 0, you just add a 0. So you've got 1, 2, 3 zeros there. So that makes 1, 2, 3 zeros at the end. So 1,000. So that's a pretty big number, and we could even make a bigger number, like 1,000,000, and we could write it in a pretty small form by using these exponents. So the exponential form here is the base, which is the number that we're dealing with, in this case 10, and we count up the number of times we're multiplying it. So here we have 1, here we have 2, here we have 3, so we've got 3 tens being multiplied. So to write that in exponential form, we write it as 10 to the third power. So this exponent of 3 doesn't mean that we're going to multiply 3 times 10 to get 30. No, this means that we're taking 10 and multiplying it 3 times. So if I was to write this in the word form, it would be, we would have 10 to the third power. There's another way we can express this, because oftentimes items are to the third power. For instance, whenever we deal with volume, if I have a cube, let's say, so here's my picture of a cube. If I have a cube and I have that each of the sides of this cube are exactly the same, that's what a cube represents, kind of like a die. Well, here my cube, let's say, is 4 units. That means this side's 4 units and this side's 4 units. And so if I was to express the volume of this cube would be if I took all those sides and multiplied them, 4 times 4 times 4. So because we talk about the volume quite often, we talk about volume, we have cubic units because it's to the third power. And so, for instance, if it's 4 feet, 4 feet, 4 feet, we'd have 4 feet being multiplied 3 times. So it would be 4 to the third power, which equals 64, but we are in feet cubed. So we could also write this as 4, or in this case here, with 10, 10 cubed, or 4 cubed. 64 feet to the third power. Lots of different ways to represent that one. So that's a special case scenario. We have it for when we have an exponent of 2 also. Sometimes we say a number being squared is to the second exponent. Well, let's take a look at this next one here. And I guess since it was word form, probably need to write down the word 10 rather than write the digits. So we'll go ahead and fix that right now. Over here, 2 to the 5th power. That's how we'd read that off. So 2 to the 5th power. We've got one of the parts down. Now, how would I write it in the factored form? Well, the factored form is going to just show me how many 2's are being multiplied. Say 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So you can see why exponents are nice. They give a lot of information in a confined space. So we've got the base 2, that represents the number that's being multiplied. The 5 represents the number of 2's we have. We count them up. Here we've got 5 2's being multiplied. Well, what's the product? Well, when you multiply them, you might group them together. See, like 2 times 2 makes 4. Another 2 times 2 makes 4, so that makes 16 times by 2 makes 32. All right, 5 to the 4th power. Well, 5 is the base. Fourth power means we have an exponent of 4. So what's that represent? Well, it's 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. You got 4 5s being multiplied. What's that equal? Well, 25 is 2 5s. So I have 25 times 25. Think of quarters. How many quarters make, 25 quarters makes how much money? $6.25. So that's it, 6.25. 49. 49 is the product, so that means they just did 7 times 7. Well, what is that in exponential form? That's 7 squared, or 7 to the second power. So we can say that a couple different ways. Again, 7 squared, you could say. Or we could even say 7, we'll say or here, or 7 to the second power. Well, let's take a look at the next set of directions. Evaluate. Evaluate means you're going to come up with an answer. But first you're going to substitute. You're going to take the value that the variable equals, 3. So a is 3. So you're going to put a 3 in place of that a. And you're going to cube it. And then take away 10. So we're going to bring it to the third power. Remember I said that anything to the third power, we could also say 10 cubed. So I use that terminology, so I'll write that in the word form here as well. So we can say 10 cubed or 10 to the third power for this one. So I said 3 cubed. It's just a little shorter way to say it rather than having to say 3 to the third power. But what does this represent? Well, it represents 3 times 3 times 3, and then take away 10, which would be 27. Take away 10 makes 17. So there's your answer, 17. How about this next one? Well, again, put 3 in place of a. Now, this is a common mistake because people want to multiply the 3 first. But that's not what we do. What does order of operations say we do? Let's write that little saying down. P-E-M-D-A-S, PEMDAS. So exponents are the E. Multiplication is the M. Notice the E comes before M. So we've got to do the exponents first, then we'll multiply. So this makes 9. 9 times by 4, and then plus 16. Notice that order of operations says multiplication before the addition. So we go ahead and multiply. We get 36. We add those two numbers together. 6 and 6 gives me 12. Carry a 1. And then it's 1 and 3 make 4 plus 1 makes 52. So there's my answer, 52. Let's check out this next one. Again, we're putting the 3 in place of a. So let's rewrite what we've got. 75 minus 3 times by, because the 3 is right next to the a. When it's right next to the a, that means multiply. And we're taking 3 and we're squaring it. And so we bring down that 75, bring down the minus 3 because we have to do the exponents first. That makes 9. 75 minus, now go ahead and multiply here, 27. So when you do this subtraction, off to the side if you're having to do it, make sure you borrow. Common mistake is 52, but that's not the right answer because we have to borrow from the 7, change it to a 6, and that gives us 15 minus 7 is 8, and then 6 minus 4 is, or 6 minus 2 is 4, so 48 is the number there. Well, let's try another one. 3 again goes in for this a. And what does order of operations say we do first here? Well, it says we do parentheses first. So we get to do this addition. So we get to add the 3 and the 2 first. So that gives us 5. And then we take that and square it. So just follow that order of operation. So notice that it goes PE, so parentheses, exponents, then multiplication. Now multiplication, division, you work from left to right. Same thing with the addition, subtraction. But you shouldn't have a problem with that concept on this homework assignment. So 25 is the answer there. Last problem, let's take a look at this one. Here we've got David forwarded an email to 7 friends. Let's draw a picture about what's going on. We've got David here. And he gave it to 7 people. 1, 2, 3, let's see here, 4. I'm going to have to make a number here, a line here. 5, 6, and this is my 7. So let's count those lines again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I get one more in there. 7. Okay, so those are the 7 friends you emailed. Each of those friends sent to 7 more friends. So then we're going to have a lot. Look how many we have. So we got 7 here, and then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't fit them all there, so I'm going to just put 7. So he sent it to 7 friends. 7 friends, 7 friends, 7 friends, 7 friends, 7 friends, 7 friends, who in turn, each of these sent it to another 7 friends. So we had another set of 7 that we have to add up. I've got so many 7s, I can't even do it. Well, what helps out a lot when we've got so many numbers that we have to add together? Let's use multiplication. That's what we're doing here. Notice this first one here. David sent it out to 7 friends, okay? Which each sent it out to 7 more friends. So that's going to be 7 times 7, and who sent it out to another 7 friends. So that's another 7 that we're going to end up having to multiply. So the first set of 7, we had 7 times 7 made the 49. That was the first set. Okay, so David sent it out to 7 people. Okay, so we had those 7 people. And then they sent it out to 7 more people. And then we end up with our answer here. So 49 times by 7, and that gives us 343. So 343. So the common mistake is that people say 21 because they think, oh, 7, 7, 7, so 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 21. Well, that's not the case, but just look at it. David forwarded his email to 7 friends. Each of those people sent it to 7 more. So each was 7 more. So it's 7 times 7 times 7 is our answer there. So 343 would be the answer. Well, good luck on tonight's homework.